Okay, hi Addy. Welcome to lesson number 83. Today's lesson is awesome. I think you're really going to like it, and this is super important for you to know on AP tests and all those tests that are AP tests, SAT tests, all those important tests that you need to get into college and stuff like that. They love these sorts of problems on it. So you're going to have to pay lots of attention to today's lesson because it's going to be super useful in the future, for life, but also for tests because they love these. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is your 28 improper fractions to simplify. So get out that worksheet, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do it in. Okay, on your mark, get set, go. I will try and find some beautiful music while you're doing that. Man, I wish I could play the piano like that. We're We're almost there. Keep going. All right, I'm going to stop you right there, Addy. That's 5 minutes, and you've been listening to Chopin. You'll notice that his name is actually spelled like Chopin, but it's pronounced Chopin because I don't know why. All right, here, let's take a look at this comic because I think you're really going to like this one. I love The Far Side because it kind of tells a story. All right, so this, you see an elevator and this guy has brought what looks like a lion into the elevator. He's got his hand on the lion and he's saying, "Don't be alarmed, folks. He's completely harmless unless something startles him." So do you think that there's going to be anything that startles him when those elevators doors close? Looks like it's going to close right on his tail. What do you think is going to happen? Don't be alarmed, folks. He's completely harmless unless something startles him. I think something bad is about to happen on that, don't you think? You probably appreciate The Far Side because he kind of has a little dark humor. I feel like there's always something bad about to happen in some of his comics. All right, let's jump into mental math. First, we're going to count by 1/4, from 1/4 all the way to 4. So I like to use this handy dandy ruler to help me because we're going to do these numbers right here. But we're going to count all the way to 4, and we're going to count the leg lifts of this cute little dog right here, okay? So let's go 0, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2, 3 3/4, 4. Okay, does it say to count down? No, it doesn't. Okay, so we're done. That was sweet. All right, let's move on, and you are going to see some adorable pictures of puppies as we do the rest of mental math. Let's start with 30 times 30. Now, don't make a mistake and say that this is 90. It's more than that, right? Because think about it. If you saved $30 and you did that 30 times, that's what that question is really saying. You saved $30 and you did it 30 times. You'd have way more than $90, right? You'd have something else. Okay. Let's go on to B. What is 1,000 minus 125? 1,000 minus 125. That's hard. Little bit of borrowing here. Okay. Let's do C. C is 3 times 3.99. Remember, do 3 times $4 and then subtract 3 pennies. Okay, let's do D. We are going to double 3.5. That's probably how many puppies are running at you right now in this picture. Double 3.5. All right. What is 2.5 divided by 100? Ooh, that's going to be a small number, right? Because if you have like $2.50 and 100 friends that you have to share that with, they are not going to get very much money, right? How much would they get? Not too much at all. Okay, F. Look at this adorable puppy. Oh my heck, it looks like it loves the air conditioner. All right, focus. What is 20 times 34? 20 times 34. Okay. How about G? Oh, this looks like a happy dog. Happy, happy dog. All right, G is a long one, so buckle up, okay? Here we go. We are going to start with the number 9 times 9. Subtract 1. Divide by 2. Add 2. Divide by 6. Add 2. Divide by 3. What number do you end up with? Okay, Happy Hands Club. Hold your hands 1 meter apart, then 1 yard apart. Okay, a meter, remember, is like a meter stick. Like I have a meter stick by my desk. Remember how tall that is? What about a yard? Do you remember how big that is? There's 3 feet in a yard, remember? These are actually pretty close together. They're big. You'd have to really stretch your arms. And they are close together, but which one's bigger? You decide. Okay, we'll see if you get it right. Are you going from big to small or small to big? All right, Houston, we have a problem. Here's another problem for you to solve. We are going to compare the following quantities. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. We're going to compare these quantities. Ready? Then, after you compare them, so remember, compare means make it a less than or a greater than sign, or a less than sign, or an equal sign. And that's going to go right here. So, which side is bigger? Is it this side? Or is it this side? You're going to figure that out, and then you're going to describe how you performed the comparison. Because you could add all these things up. When you add fractions like that, you have to find a common denominator. It's kind of complicated, right? But what if you just estimate, right? What if we compare this with this? And what if we compare this with this? Okay, that's a little clue right there. And I'll let you figure it out from there. All right, let's go on to this new concept. This is where it gets super fun because we are going to start talking about proportions. Let's start with the definition. If we look it up in this dictionary here, we're going to see that a proportion is a true statement that 2 ratios are equal. Equal. Okay? Here's an example of a proportion. And the way that you read it is 3 is to 4 as 6 is to 8. So these are equal, so it's a proportion, and they're 2 ratios. So there's a ratio here and a ratio here, and you're comparing those ratios. If they're equal, that makes it a proportion. And the way that you read it, if you're reading this proportion out loud and using your words, it's 3 is to 4 as 6 is to 8. So you start here and go down. 3 is to 4 as 6 is to 8. Okay, so adorable puppy, so cute. Okay, we're going to jump into some examples, and then I think you'll understand it even better, okay? You probably already do understand it because you're a smarty pants. A lot smarter than this puppy. He should just jump in. Look at it. He's trying to get that ball. Oh, cute puppy. Or dog, maybe it's older. All right, here we go. Which ratio forms a proportion? So if it forms a proportion, that means it must be equal. Okay. Which ratio forms a proportion with 2/3? So is it A, is it B, is it C, or is it D? They want to know which one is equal, so which one forms a proportion with 2/3. Okay, so equivalent ratios form a proportion. So which one is equivalent to 2/3? So let's look at A. It's not this one because this has a 2 on the numerator, but the denominator is totally different. So 2/3 is not the same as 2/4 because 2/4 is a half. Okay, what about B, 3/4? 3/4 is the same as like 75%. This is not 75%. That's more like 66.66666 7%, right? So it's not that one. What about C? 4 over 6. Okay, let's look at this one. Whoops, let's look at this one. Could this be the same as 4 over 6? Yeah, because actually, if you simplify this fraction, divide them by 2. If you divide the numerator by 2, you get 2. If you divide the denominator by 2, you get 3. So we found the right answer. Now let's eliminate this one too, just to be safe. 3 over 2, that's not even close because, look, the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So this would simplify to like 1.5. That's way bigger than 66.66667%, right? So the correct answer is going to be C. And the way I figured it out is that 4 over 6 can simplify to 2/3. So the way I would write this proportion is 2 is to 3 as 4 is to 6. All right, let's jump into example 2. Look at this dog. You might need to take a little stretch, just like this doggy, right? He's doing some yoga. Downward dog and upward dog. Okay, let's do example 2. Write this proportion with digits. So they're telling you a proportion in words, and they want you to just write it out in math numbers, right? Okay, in math speak. All right, so it's 4 is to 6. So the way I would write that is 4 is to 6 as, there's your equal sign, as 6 is to 9, as 6 is to 9. So let's review. 4 is to 6 as 6 is to 9. So that's what they're saying in words. And we write the numbers in the order that they set them, okay? And let's see if that's true. Is this a true statement? What if we simplify both of these? What if we simplify 4 over 6? If we divide it by 2, right, we would simplify that to 2/3. Okay, and what about 6 over 9? We can simplify that by dividing everything by 3, and then you get 2/3. So this is a true statement, so it's a proportion. Okay, excuse me, oh my goodness. Okay, we can use proportions to help us solve math problems. And this is where it's going to start to get tricky, but this is where the meat of this lesson is, because they want you to know how to solve problems like this. And this problem is 3 is to 5 as 6 is to what number? This is going to be on every test that you ever take for the rest of your life. If it's a math test, it's going to have stuff like this on it. So we use proportions to solve this, where you're trying to find a missing term. Here the missing term is here, but they could have put the missing term anywhere, right? It could be here, and we usually write a letter instead of a number when it's a missing term. So it might be X, it might be Y, it might be A. In this case, it's A. A represents the missing term in the proportion. So one way to find the missing term is to figure out what would you have to do to go from 3 to 6. So let's compare these numerators. To go from 3 to 6, you have to multiply by what number? You would multiply by 2. Whatever you do to the top, you also have to do to the bottom. Because if you do the same thing to the top and the bottom, that's basically multiplying the top and the bottom by the number 1. And when you multiply anything by the number 1, it doesn't change the value of that thing. You're just multiplying it by 1. And as long as you do the same thing to the top and the bottom, you're not changing the value. So when we multiply the top by 2, 3 times 2, we get 6. That was the number that we already knew. So now let's do the same thing to the bottom. 5 times 2, and we get 10. So the answer to the question is, is 3 is to 5 as 6 is to A. So now we know A. Instead of A, we can write 10. 3 is to 5 as 6 is to 10. And so you just find the number that you have to multiply it by to get the thing that you know. And then do the same thing to the top and the bottom, because when you do the same thing to the top and the bottom, you're not changing anything. You're just multiplying by 1. That's how we find the missing number. Sweet. Let's do example 3. This puppy looks like it can't figure out these difficult problems. It's too hard for that cute little puppy. So let's complete this proportion. 2 is to 6 as what number is to 30? So this problem has 2 steps. The first step is to write the proportion out correctly in numbers the way they stated it in words. So let's read it again. 2 is to 6. So we're going to write 2 is to 6 as is your key word, and that means the equal sign. As what number, I'm going to write an X, what number is to 30? So let's read it again and make sure we got it right. 2 is to 6, 2 is to 6, as what number is to 30? As what number is to 30? Perfect. All right. So this time, the number we're trying to figure out is on the numerator, not on the denominator, but that's okay. We can figure out how to get from 6 to 30. So what do we need to multiply 6 by to get 30? And I think you can see if you multiply 6 times 5, you would get 30. Now we have to do the same thing to the top and the bottom, because that way we're just multiplying it by 5 over 5. And that's not changing the value of anything. We're just multiplying it by the number 1. So let's check our answer on the bottom. 6 times 5 is indeed 30. 2 times 5 on the top is going to be what? 2 times 5 is 10. Sweet. So now we've got our answer. Let's see if it makes sense. 2 is to 6 as 10 is to 30. If you can check your answer, and the way you might do that is you simplify this expression. 10 over 30. If you divide both the top and the bottom by 10, you'd get 1/3. What about this? Does it simplify to 1/3? Yes, divide everything by 2. You get 1/3. So this is a true statement. This is the proportion, and this was the missing number. So the answer is 10. Sweet. All right. That's the whole lesson, Addy. Look at this slow-mo picture of this dog. It looks like he's going to catch a treat, and he went too early, and the treat hit him in the head. Look, let's watch again. And he sees it, opens. Where's my treat? It's not in my mouth. It hit me in the head. Poor puppy. He'll get the hang of it, though. All right, good luck. I hope you get the hang of this homework. Love you, Addy. Have a great time doing your math. Bye.